Yeah, with Duplain being cross-trained in the spring, is that helping you now, and how's he coming along?
Yeah, 100%. He's been snapping since I've been here. You know, I learned a lesson my first year in North Carolina. I lost 3 centers in 1 week, you know, and I always thought 4 centers was enough. I'd be in good shape. So after that, I've had 8 to 10 kids snapping year-round every year. So, you know, he's getting more live reps at it, which is good. Because for him, with his, you know, aspirations of being in the NFL, he's going to have to play that spot. So this is good for him, and it's good for us because we're trying to figure out, you know, besides Samac, who's the next best center, and, you know, what combination is best for us. So he's done a good job there.
Isn't that kind of how line play has evolved? And maybe it's my imagination. Seems like in the old days you'd have 5 starters and 5 backups. And now, kind of like receivers, they all intermix. There's like 8 linemen that play all the time, most of the time, isn't there?
Yeah, you know, in the old line world, you know, back in the day when you were under center all the time, you really could put anybody in there and they can snap it between their legs, you know what I mean? But in the world we're in now with the gun snap, and you're asking the center to pull, block back, you know, all the different things, that's a talent to be able to do that. Or you got a 320-pound nose right an inch from your helmet and be able to snap it and step. So that's where it's became, you know, more valuable and really important to have several guys that can do that. And, you know, you always are trying to find who are the guys that can go in for somebody and hopefully not miss a beat. You know, in a perfect world, you'd have 10, but that doesn't happen, you know. So if you can find 8, you know, you probably could be in pretty good shape.
Coach, how much does personality play a role with some of these guys? It doesn't matter, it's just plug and play with what's expected of an O-lineman, or is it individual personalities can play a unique role in some cases?
Well, the O-line room is usually the most unique room, you know, personality-wise, right? So that's good, that's why it's kind of fun. But, you know, you got to have, the guy that's the center in most offenses has to be a leader. You know, he has to be able to command the room. He has to be able to communicate with authority. He's got to be able to handle the pressure of being on the road with 100,000 people. You know, a lot of things are happening. He's got to be able to slow it down, be able to tell the guys at the front is where we're going and all that stuff. So not everybody is good at that, right? You'd like all your guys to be vocal, but some guys, that's just not their thing, and they do just enough. But especially inside there, you know, your center, he's got to be that guy. You know, we've all had I've had talented tackles before that, you know, as much as you like to say they knew their assignments 100%, their guard did, and he made sure he was telling them what to do every snap, so we were good. Sometimes you got to do that, you know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, the more strong personalities in the room, that guys are all pushing each other, all that is great, but that inside, that center is the most important.
Jay told us last week that he ideally would like to get up to 8 or 9 guys. Where do you feel along the way in the process of that? Do you feel comfortable beyond 5, or how far beyond that?
I think yesterday and Monday, I would tell you yes, and then today I would say no. You know what I'm saying? So you guys have heard me saying this forever. Consistency is so important, and just trying to find that. I think we're getting there. We have more options this year by far than we had last year or my first year here, right? And so I feel good about that, and I think we're going to get there.
What about the difficulty with that, especially at this point in camp? We see some guys in and out, dinged up, whatever. Because Mel the other day talked about getting guys in the game and frustrated with that. How much tougher is that for you in that sense, where you've got to have that many guys, but you're also dealing with that reality as well? Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? You're getting other guys' experience, which will help you down the road, but you're not getting those 5 guys that you think are going to be the 5 guys out there playing together. And this is one position where all 5 of those guys have to be in sync. You know, so the more reps you can get with those 5 guys together, the better opportunity you have to be able to communicate better and play better. So, you know, there's pluses and minuses. That's the negative part. So as a coach, you got to really balance that. How much do you really move them around? You know, and then if they're healthy, obviously you want to try to get some kind of rhythm going, especially as we get closer to game prep. So, you know, it's adversity, but you know, that's who we are, what you do. I don't care. Everywhere I've been, you know, there's going to be injuries, right? You just got to be able to do the best you can. But in a perfect world, everybody's healthy and we can plug them in all the time, but that's not where we're at.
You mentioned that made a big point Monday that the running game, everyone says, well, the offensive line is great and the offensive line stinks. That it's not just that, it's a lot more than that. How much of the credit or blame for running game does belong to the offensive line?
Well, it starts with the O-line, that's for sure. But, you know, what is your offense? You know, if you're gonna have a tight end in the core every snap, then he's gotta do his job. That's the thing about offensive football, right? If you have 10 guys doing a great job and one dude does a poor job, you know, especially in the O-line, you're gonna have a bad play. Defense, you could have 10 guys go wrong and one guy make a hell of a play and you could have a hell of a play, right? So they're important when they're in there. You know, if we're in an offense where the quarterback's got to handle an extra safety or defender with a throw run, then that's important, you know, because if he just keeps running into extra people, that's not going to be a success either. And, you know, and our receivers got to do a great job of some of the stuff we do. So, you know, starts with us, but it really does take all 11 to be great. You know, you can see a lot of examples of runs, you know, go back to 21 when we had some big runs. You know, you got Jaden Reed sprinting across the field, getting a key block. It was going to be a 15-yard gain. It became a 96-yard gain. You know what I'm saying? So it's important. You know, it's like everything else, right? If it's a great run, you know, if the back hits it and gets 20, 30 yards, most people say, hey, what a great run, right? And if he gets tackled in the backfield or for 2 yards, then the whole line is bad, right? Well, what if you missed the whole, it doesn't matter. That's just the world we live in, right? I mean, we have some people even in here that said the whole line even wasn't very good in 21. I beg to differ, right? But that's just who we are. So I know that you can't have an ego in this thing, and you just got to grind through it. I tell my guys, get a flip phone and don't get on the internet and social media. You don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Because if you read what's on there, you know, you're gonna feel bad about yourself for a while, no matter how good things are going. You know, so it's just part of the job. But the run game does start with us, and then we need everybody else to be doing their jobs along with us.
Said, we asked you about Keyshawn, you said you thought he'd take a big step between them, and basically now, I guess, what have you seen in him?
He's made good progress. You know, he's comfortable with the system, which is good. He's healthier. He's starting to get stronger, so he's making a push. And the good thing about that is the guy in front of him, Baldwin, is also getting better. And I believe, I like to say it's just me, but I know competition makes you better. You know, and then you go to the other side, and Ethan Boyd is breathing down Spencer Brown's neck. So again, now he's pushing him. So right now we've got 4 tackles, and even an Ashton Lepo is doing some things where they're really competing with each other. You know, so that's a good thing. But I think Keyshawn is making good strides.
Yeah, where is Ethan's progress? I mean, this fall camp is now this season's about to start.
He's made good progress. You know, I even had to plug him. I needed to find a tackle that could also play guard, you know, and he was the one I felt like could do it because of his mental capacity and his skill set. So he's even getting reps inside, but he has made some strides. Like, unless something goes crazy in the next 2 weeks, you know, he'll be out there at some point in that first game.
What do you think about the first scrimmage, and what are you looking forward to for number 2 from him?
You know, it's not like a broken record. We weren't consistent. You know, we came out and we hit 2 big plays in the first series. I call it the 14-0 curse. I've been in a lot of games in my career. You jump up 14-0 on somebody, and everybody thinks, oh, okay, they relax, and you end up losing the game. Then we kind of took a step back. We had a couple big plays, got called back for penalties, which killed our momentum. It was very up and down. You know, we had some D linemen inside. You know, number 8, Barrow's having an unbelievable camp. I'm really impressed with him. He's very disruptive for us. And, you know, then we kind of roll. And then we go into the red zone, and we had some really good things. And then the ones drove down the field in the 2 minute and scored. So it was up and down. I don't know if that's good or bad sometimes in camp, right? If you're dominating one side of the ball all camp, then you're wondering, are we really any good or are they not very good, right? So you're hoping we're getting a lot of give and take. So I think that's a positive.
You mentioned with Simeon, like Mel and everybody's talked a lot about the size up front. Are you liking how that's helping your guy, you know, those battles and what that's?
It's huge for us. It's like, you know, sometimes, you know, I got to accept the pain for the growth, right? That sometimes they get the best of them. I want to dominate every rep out there. But it really, when you're going against guys that size and moving around as much as they are and some of the things they do, you know, it makes you grow. You know, it makes you better. You know, if you're blocking guys that are undersized or they have injuries and they're poor up front, you get a false sense of security going into games. You know, so I believe with all my heart it's going to make us better for sure.
The how many pounds of steak did it take to feed them that night?
Man, that was a lot of steaks. Every steak was at least 1.5 inches thick and over 16 ounces.
Okay.
And she cooked 30 of them, so that was a lot. So that was almost, what, 40 pounds or 50 pounds of steak? And that was just, that wasn't all the other side dishes and stuff. And they wiped us out, everybody thought there was leftovers. We posted the picture, a lot of people say, can I come over? I said, you can come over, there's nothing left.
Right,
So,
it's gone.
So that was a good deal.
Any?
What's that?
Coach get any?
You know what, I got like a half of the one steak that was just overcooked, but you know what? I'm good missing a meal as long as they're happy.
She was asking about Ethan Boyd, you followed him in high school here. Where have you seen his improvement in the last couple of years, if at all?
I think with him, he's always had like the skill set, he has good feet, length, all that. He's gotten much stronger in the weight room, his body has changed, and then it's his demeanor, you know what I mean? Like he has an edge to him, and it shows up once in a while, and it's starting to show up more. And really, the number one thing with Ethan Boyd is confidence. When he's confident, he's very good. So it's really that maturity in the weight room and just really understanding the scheme and believing that he can be a guy out here.
So you see him getting more confident, obviously.
100%. Sometimes as a coach, you coach them hard and you push them, but you also got to know your guys. Some guys can take hard coaching and that motivates them, and some guys can, fold up. And so you got to make sure you're pumping up and doing the right things with the right guys. So that's also our relationship, that helps too.
How about those other second and third year guys like Vandermark, Fincher, Phillips? What are you seeing from those guys right now?
I think, Gino has done some good things this camp, and spring ball. He's changed his body. You saw his before and after picture, it's huge. He's playing center and guard. I'm comfortable with him at either, and he has to go against 8 every snap, and so there's been some tough moments for him, but it's made him better. I like where he's at. Wigginton is making some progress. Who else did you ask about?
Phillips and Fincher.
Yeah, so Fincher's getting a lot of reps at center, and we need to see him to continue to grow. And Phillips has all the physical tools to be a very good football player. It's just he's got to get where he's more consistent in what he's doing technically and scheme-wise. But he does have a lot of talent, so he's making some strides.
So you'd be comfortable with kind of that rotation and guard with, JD, obviously the ability on the left side, Gino we saw starting at the end, and then kind of who are the guys, I guess, pushing for those spots the most?
Yeah, so I would say right now, the guys that are really pushing is Phillips and a Wigginton, and even an Evan Brunning, which, we don't talk about him a lot. He was the walk-on D lineman for us when I got here. We moved him to O-line, and he's done some good things. He's been with us for a couple of years now, and he's done some good things. He's a big kid. So those guys are doing a good job. Braden Miller's been mixing it up inside and outside. So those are the guys I think right now. And then, like I said, Fincher also is making trying to become the guy that can push for time, or know that if, you don't have a guy at center, he can be the guy to go.
Are you comfortable moving most of those guys left to right?
Yeah, I am. You need to be able to do that. It's all of our guys. You should be able to play. If you're a left tackle, you should be able to play right. I know it's different, but we're repping that year round, so it shouldn't be. You don't want to have your 2 left tackles be your best tackles and not be able to put one of them at right because he's not comfortable. So that's for sure, yeah.
How far ahead are you compared to last year when you had to dial it back because you didn't have the healthy bodies?
We're going to find out here in a few weeks, right? But I do feel like we are quite a bit ahead, with all the reps that we've gotten and the way we've been able to practice and really push them, and that's a big thing. And then the competition on the other side, they say iron sharpens iron. I think that's happened as well. So I feel that we're ahead, but we're the one level of football that doesn't get any kind of scrimmage or game before it's real, right? So you'll find out when it counts on the first. But I do feel like we've made some strides.
With Phillips, according to the roster, it's 30 pounds at 30.
I think he's 32 pounds.
He's lost weight, according to the roster.
He actually walked in here at 360, and he's 305 today.
So that's what you guys wanted.
Yeah, I would like him we want to bring him down, and he's probably a kid that could play around 315, you know, but we'd rather build it up the right way. So, you know, I like where he's at right now in that, you know, and that's a, you know, tribute to our nutritionists and strength coaches and him, you know, the determination to do that, because really, we can't babysit him 24/7, so he got to make a lot of decisions, you know, especially in the spring when, you know, they're home more than they're in this building, you know, make good decisions, and he's done that. So that's going to enable him to be a better football player for sure. And even healthier. There's always some nagging leg and injuries and stuff like that. When he first got here, we haven't had anything all camp, so that's a huge plus.
You mentioned, you know, the center needing to be composed when you're on the road, but to have a guy like JD Duplain who has started 30 straight games at left guard, what does that do for you as you progress through the season?
Well, first of all, I got a high trust factor with him, right? Like, I don't need to spend as much time with him in certain things than I do other guys. The other situation is if he's at guard and say Nick's not in center, I know that he can help that kid that's at center to kind of maybe relieve some of that burden, you know what I mean? So, and then I also got him to be able to talk to that left tackle and make sure he's on the same page. So it's huge when you can have a guy with that experience to be able to control both guys either side of him and feel comfortable with it. And the thing that's great about a guy like that is he's going to ask me questions, right, schematically that are going to be like, I got to think about that. Well, that might be, or hey, that's a good idea, or at least be able to talk through it. Where most young kids, you know, they're just a sponge laying there. They're just going to take what you tell them and they go, right? So the growth and then just being comfortable with having them there and being able to help the guys around them, I think that's a big part of it.
Did he suggest
Do you
that?
expect St. to be ready for the season?
I do.
Did he suggest that to you at all last year? Did he have any conversations like that with you last year where he would suggest?
He asks questions all the time, which is like he's a gym rat. Like he studies ball. You know, he's gone to that Duke Meriwether deal they have in the summer. Every summer he got invited to that, and it's just a symposium of NFL players, and they're just all talking shop, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing about people don't understand it, like you can have 10 O-line coaches and they're all going to teach some things differently, right? And you can't have such an ego that you think my way is the only way, because every kid's built different too. So as many tools as we could put in the tool shed to be successful. So if he asks me a question, right, then if it's something I haven't done, but I can see that it makes sense, then I might tell him, hey, let's give it a shot, right? And some of it's just scheme stuff, which is, you know, it's not we're going to do it every time, but it's good he's thinking that way, right? It's advancing. And so, you know, we always talk about when we bring these kids in, among everything else we're developing, right, if these old linemen can develop their football IQ, that's going to give them a greater chance of being successful here and in the future.
Chris, how much better are you with the healthy St. Mac at center and JD at guard than Duplain at center and someone else next to him?
Oh, I think we're much stronger. Just, you know, it's another guy, St. Mac, that's had as many starts as he's had, you know, and the experience he has and his athleticism. And, you know, he's a guy that's on the Remington list. He's every scout that comes in talks to me about him. And so, you know, he's a factor, you know, so having him in there definitely makes us stronger, there's no question.
And what about Baldwin having the experience of starting last year? You see a different player than you did a year ago.
Oh, huge. Yeah, it's a big deal. So, you know, I have high expectations for him this year. You know, he's still not where I want him to be, but he's getting closer and he's made a lot of improvement. I think, man, there's experience, right, you can't equate it to anything else. Being in the fire out there, you know, it's a huge deal. You know, it's I don't know, you guys are around it, but, you know, especially when you're on the road in some of those environments, you know, if you're not a confident dude and you don't know exactly what you're doing, you can get rattled easily. So having that experience should really help all that.
How has this transition? I mean, as a kid who mostly played basketball growing up and had a year or two ago, what were the things when he came in that you identified that could make him come to this point?
Yeah, and it's tough when he went to JUCO was COVID, so he really didn't get, you know, everything you would hope he would get there. And, you know, he was just this big ball of clay that, you know, had great length and feet, and then we had to really develop his football IQ and just get him into that football mindset, and that's where he's really matured, you know, playing harder, you know, and then recognizing things. man, you play this game and you react after the snap every time, you're just not gonna survive. You have to have an idea what's going on before the snap to be successful at this level. And he's really starting to see that, so that's a huge plus as well.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, as run game coordinator, what about the tight end piece? Mel was talking about it on Monday, the blocking part of it. How does that come along? How did it come along with spring? How has it progressed since the spring?
Yeah, I think the tight ends made a concerted effort to be better there. You know, when you look at our, you know, our tight ends, and we've lost some and we gained some, and they've worked hard. And then Malik, you know, he's a guy that's obviously very talented in the passing game, and he knows to get to that next level, he's got to be a force in the block game. I think he's really improved. So I like where they're going. You know, just like us up front, we got to continue to improve. But I do think you can see a concerted effort from him and the coaches, and even Coach Tuck, right? I mean, he's made it a point, you know, to push them and point those things out, which is good. And so I think they have a lot of pride in that.